I thought I was walking into a house that was being remodeled, but what I discovered was that I was walking into a home with a lot of unresolved grief. We built this house in 2000 for my parents who moved down from Ohio to start a new life, to make new friends, to have a new beginning, to be debt-free. This house was built with love, no motivation, just a place to call home for my parents. But I haven't stepped into this home for 17 years. This is a hard video for me this time. So there's lots of signs of unresolved grief that I didn't even know was unresolved until I walked in. This home represents a whole lot to me, the main one being unresolved grief. When my parents moved down here, I remember hearing my dad laugh while he was unpacking boxes, and my mom was sitting on the couch telling my dad where to put things, or there were even plants that needed watered. It was a new beginning for them. After Katrina, my parents came down to my house, brought 2 eggs and a stick of butter, and said they're moving back to Ohio. This was after 5 days. It took us 5 days to get the road open, and they came down and they were going back to Ohio. So this house sits on our property, and in the back, let's just say a couple acres in the back, our house. So I could always look over to make sure that they were okay. I wanted them to be here so I could take care of them. I could look after them. I could help them as they aged and through the aging process. So they left abruptly, very abruptly, and there was a lot of grief, a lot of anger, like what the 5 stages of grief, hopelessness, grief, anger, unresolved, all these things that they happen because now we have a house on this property with my parents not living here. We ended up renting it to a priest who lived here for 16 years, and he's now living in a retirement home. My parents have since died, and they did move back to Ohio. But I decided, or in my mind, I have unresolved grief, and I see that there's 5 stages: emotional, physical, behavior, relational, and mental and spiritual unresolved stages of grief. So the emotional grief was that there's a lot of sadness. I come into this house and there's a lot of sadness. I am not able to cry anymore because of the numbing feeling, which goes with my emotional grief. My physical grief is stomach aches coming in here, headaches, brain fog, behavior. Behavioral grief is pulling away from my husband, pulling away from loved ones, kind of cocooning away from people that I love, that I should want to be with. But coming into this house has brought up a lot of unresolved emotions. The 4th one is relational. It's difficult for me moving forward after my parents moved away to trust people other than my husband. It's difficult to trust people because you poured so much of yourself into building a home for your parents. And then the 2 people that are supposed to love you unconditionally, and they did, they loved me unconditionally, abruptly left due to whatever situation. And then the last one is the mental grief. Lots of I should have, could have, didn't do. See, my parents were smokers and they weren't healthy. And we did say, you can't smoke in the house. My mom was on oxygen. And when you're on oxygen, you're not allowed to smoke. It can ignite a house, you can burn it down. And the grief that I would have if she was on oxygen and the house would catch on fire and my mom and dad would die. So what they did do is they put on a screened-in back patio and they could leave the door open so they could go in and out. They would have a beautiful area to go sit and smoke. Smoking is their choice. However, this home was built with love, and while my mom was on oxygen, they could not smoke in the house. And I think that made him angry. I told my husband before we built the house that they weren't going to stay. My mother suffered with mental illness, and my dad was her caregiver, and he loved her, and my mom loved him, but she still suffered with mental illness. And if they moved down here, I would be able to help them out in a lot of different ways, taking them to the doctors, keeping them busy. My dad could go and help my husband do stuff on the property. He could help with the chickens. He could help, cut the grass. And I could just sit with my mom. And that unfortunately wasn't what the future looked like for us. But we did have 5 years together of memories, of meals, of moments of going to the thrift store, of standing out at the mailbox and just having a conversation. So there were lots of wonderful things we did in this home that we built for my parents. There's an amazing space that holds memories like a time capsule. And when I walk into this house, it is like a time capsule because I can see exactly, where they had the couch, where they had the TV, where they had tables, where their bedroom was, where the other bedroom was. I was sick at the time, and I remember having cancer. My husband he works so hard. And I remember not feeling well. And I would sneak down and I would tell my husband I'm going to my parents to help them. And I'd go into the bedroom. And I would lay down and I would just sleep because I was sick. So this was a refuge for me. And so now that it's empty and we're remodeling it because the priest that lived here has moved on to another place, we're remodeling it for someone else to love and to live in. But this space is still full of memories. And apparently it's still full of unresolved grief, unresolved tears, unresolved emotions, and it feels pretty raw because it's an empty space just like it was when it was built. But yet I still feel love in here even though it's a shell and it's undergoing renovation. Grief never gets a voice, but grief gives you the ability to have a voice at some time. It may not be when you expect it. Grief comes in waves when we don't expect it. I didn't expect to come into this house and to have the emotions that I have. Relationships change, both with the living and the dead. The relationship is not gone, it's just changed. They're not here in my presence, but I know they're with my Heavenly Father. And I know I can still have conversations with them. I can still go back and remember my childhood. I can still remember when they moved in. I can still remember those things. But the grief of the empty house also, excuse me. The grief of an empty house also brings back the grief of losing my parents. My mother committed suicide, and I wasn't there. My father died of cancer and kidney disease, and I wasn't there. I wasn't there for them living full time, but I was able to fly and get on a plane, and at the moments of their last breath, I was able to be with them. But I wasn't able to take care of them like I had hoped to in this home. Enjoy every moment you can with those you love. Tell them that you love them. Don't be afraid to cry. Don't be afraid to open up your heart to new relationships. But don't forget those that have gone before you. One more thing, the other thing about walking into this house, because it was full of love, is that my siblings were here, we had meals here, we had family visits. But when your parents are gone, the foundation sometimes of your family is gone, or it looks different. So I'm reliving the past in a lot of different ways. This too shall pass. This house will be filled with furniture and love again. Someone will love it as much as my parents did, and it's going to provide a safe haven. I want to share one more thing with you. I'm walking into the kitchen. This light fixture was one of the last items my parents and I went and bought together. My husband hung it up. It's still hanging. It will be replaced, but it's another memory. Go and tell those that you love them, and make a memory. Be able to embrace the grief whenever it comes. There's going to be ebbs and flows, even if it's been 17 years later. I hope you have a blessed day, and go out and make a memory.